for joining us today. And now I invite you to take over the session.
Thank you, Aditya. Let me start the session.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. As you are aware that I'm teaching at OP Jindal Global University. My area of focus is international law. My writings and other things are primarily based in international law. Today we'll speak about more about the international law and sports law and how the uh, sports contracts and arbitration basically operates in the context of sports law. So just before we start the discussion, let me tell you something very common thing about the sports law. Sports law, when we hear about the word sports law, it seems to us a very new discipline. But actually, it is not a new discipline. It's a very old discipline of law. Like, as we are aware, that sports is the basic thing in any culture. It take the Indian culture or Western culture or any culture if you take into consideration, sports plays a very important role in that. Now, whenever there is a sports, definitely there are certain rules are also associated with. So we can go to the ancient time, age before ages, where you'll find that always sports are governed by certain rules. Just imagine when we used to play during our childhood time, that also we set certain rules and then we play. So that can be a customary law. But there is no formal rule as such was developed. But at the other hand, whenever we go to the history, if we talk about the Olympics and other things, we find that always in even in those Olympics as well, there are certain formal rules are also there. So sports was never ungoverned; it was always governed by certain rules. But the question is, way we talk today, the modern sports law is obviously significantly different from the sports law that is mainly we see in the history. One of the primary reason why the sports law, we talk a lot about sports law today, because of the changing nature of the sports culture. Sports has not changed, but the culture of sports has changed significantly. Now, one of the reason for the changing sports is globalization. Like post globalization, we have seen there's a significant change in the sports structures, how it is played, what are the things that are associated with the sports thing. So commercialization of sports activities brought a huge kind of scope, not only for the players, but also the industries, people, organizations that are associated with the sports. Now, if you look into the investment statistics in the sports, you'll be surprised to see there's a huge amount of investment that we can see in sports now. Sports in some time also used as a tool of diplomacy. Like in India, we have seen sports was used as a tool of diplomacy between India and Pakistan for a long time. Even sports also is a language of diplomatic communication as well. Recently, when India said that we are not then India team did not go to the Pakistan post Operation Sindhu, so it's a diplomatic statement. So we can see sports from different point of view, from the point of view of diplomatic language, from the point of view of commercialization, from the point of view of investment, from the point of view of entertainment. Entertainment is the biggest industry in this. Sports entertainment is one of the biggest industry in India today, like it is an IPL or different club match. So it is a huge industry that we talk about. So when there is a huge amount of participations are there, definitely there will be certain dispute and certain legal principle emerges out of those disputes. So पहले जो वाला sports law था, that was basically that the rights of the player, the conduct of the rules of the sport, that was the main source of sports law in the ancient time. What should be the rules of that sports? What things are allowed to do in that sports? What things are not allowed to do in the sports? That was the main concern of sports law in the earlier times. Like if it is a cricket match, so what the player can do, what the player cannot do, or something like what is the rule of batting, bowling. So these are the basic rules that mainly were there in this sports. But unlike that time, today we have vast amount of change that is happening in the sports law. That is that I said that commercial sport due to the commercial sports law sector. So whenever we talk about that commercial sports law sector, so definitely we'll talk about how these things are basically changing. I'll share the slides with you so that I can go through these slides. You can take note at the same time. So give me some time, just give me a few minutes time. Let me share the slides. Okay, I hope you can see the screen. Is it visible? Screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it's
Okay,
visible.
fine. Let me go ahead with this slide. So now, when we talk about the sports law in general, so the focus of the control is not in my hand. Can you give me the control? I cannot change slides. So
So you can just scroll, it will be changed. Yes, sir, like that. So actually you have pressed the color, so it's been.
let me do it again. It's not happening.
Uh, okay, sir.
See now, is it happening now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It's
fine,
fine.
perfect. So yeah. So the point that I was talking with you regarding the sports law, that the focus of the lecture today, I'll give more into the law of contract and sports law. So one of the governing law into the sports law is the law of contract. I assume that all of you are law student. So contract, I hope you all are aware of the law of contract. Contract law, we know that is a very basic of legal philosophy. Modern societies are basically governed by the contract law. Without contract, the modern law implementation of modern law is almost negligible. Now, if you talk from the point of view of state, if you see that social contract theory, that state enters into a contract with its people, and because of that social contract theory, we see the states are existing. Now, even if you talk about the property relationship with the property relationship and the society, so that is also purely contractual. Sale of deeds, transfer of property, for anything that you take into consideration, always contract plays a very important role in shaping the legal philosophy. Now, similarly, sports law is also governed by different kind of contracts. And the importance of this contract has increased significantly, as I said, due to commercialization of the sports activities. Today, we see the sportsmen in different advertisement, different clubs, different business. So they are involved with some clubs, certain franchises, certain advertisement. They are also involved into playing crickets for not only for the states but also for the different organizations. So all those commercial activities that has increased, it is basically regulated by the contract law. When it comes to the India, in India, it is sports law is a private law, and that is governed by the private contract that's players enters into the with the commercial wings. So the other than the sports contracts, we have seen that clubs, franchises are also now is a part of the sports game. So they take part in the organizing sports, advertising that sports, so different online gaming. So you can see that huge amount of scope for the sports has increased. Apart from that, media is another important domain. Media plays a very important role in sports. Now we know that a newspaper is a page is completely devoted for sports page. Many of there are some journalists who are called sports journalists. So sports in that way plays a very important role in the modern system of in the media, and other thing plays a very important role in the sports contract. So I thought of like taking few cases and then to explain you why this sports law is very interesting and very important today. I'll take you to this video, which will show you a very interesting link. Is, is a video is a video visible?
No, sir, it's not visible.
Okay. Okay, if not visible, let me go with the slides. So yeah. So now, if you talk about a very interesting case that we'll take into study today, there is a case study of Neymar da Silva Santos Jr. So we all know he's globally known as a Neymar Jr. Those who are I hope you all are sports enthusiasts. So you all know who is Neymar. So he is a very famous player in the football. So what he this case is is a very interesting case study for us. Like what kind of contracts that are associated with the sports law. Now there's a high profile. This is a very high profile contractual disputes involving these star athletes. So there are four disputes that we'll study in this particular case series. So all these disputes are either related to the transfer agreements, employment contracts, image rights, and the taxation. So let me quickly tell you what is transfer agreements. Transfer agreements in case of sports is basically suppose a player is playing for a particular club. For say the player is playing for the Barcelona, and now the player wanted to shift to Manchester United. So in such case, if the player within that term, within the duration of the contract, if the player is trying to transfer from one club to another club, so he has to terminate that contract, or what are the conditions that he can transfer from one club to another club, that is called transfer agreements. Second is obviously the employment contract. Suppose like employment contract example can be see all the players that are playing for the BCCI Indian cricket team, they are also entered into a contract with the BCCI. So monthly payment, what are the maximum matches they can play. So everything is regulated by the contract. Or the players who are playing for the all the IPL franchisee, Kolkata Knight Riders, Chennai Super Kings, or Rajasthan Royals. So they are also part of a contract, employment contract. Second is very interesting thing that we learn in the sports law, that is called image rights. So image right is basically, it says that when a sports player, when a player enters into a contract with the agency, that time the contract also specifically says that about the use of his face, use of his facial value, use of his market value, use of his choices, use of his, so advertising his choices, everything that is involved with his activities. Like सचिन का जो बहुत ही पुराना as an ad था, boost is a secret of my energy. So I hope some of you can connect with me, those who have seen that video. boost is the secret of my energy. So these are the some issues of some issues of anything. Yeah, so is the case similar to Anwar Ali? Yeah, correct. You're correct, Mr. Desai. This is also similar kind of case, thing. Uh, so let me yeah. So now so these are the different things that are involved into this sports contract. So this particular dispute, I'll just quickly go through the dispute. So this dispute is between Neymar in one hand, and the another hand it was FC Barcelona. So what happened in that case was, basically, let me quickly go through the facts of the case. In 2023, Neymar transferred from Santos FC Brazil to FC Barcelona. So he previously playing for the Santos FC, and now he transferring himself to the FC Barcelona. Now he made a public announcement, because we know these are very high profile cases. So media coverage, this kind of transfer case, lot of media coverage, not only the internet, not only the local media, international media. So those who we are very space sports enthusiasts, we follow that thing. So Neymar decided that now he'll play for the Barcelona. So is a public announcement was made that the transfer fee is 57 million. So this transfer fee is 57 million. That was announced that now he will be playing for the Barcelona, and he will get 57 million for that particular contract. But subsequent investigation, when there is an allegations are made against the Neymar that the contract was not about 56 million, contract was much more than that. Then there is an investigation started, and it was revealed that the actual cost of that particular transfer was 86 euro. It is 86 euro that in the transfer fee of Neymar from Santos to Barcelona. Now, the point is that though they have showed 57 euro, but let the rest of the amount, Neymar, it is alleged that Neymar family company, uh, Consultoria, was actually paid. And the third party investor, that is DS Exports and Ontario, actually paid that 40% of the economic right of the Neymar, and they alleged that Barcelona and Santos concealed that true transfer value that was basically paid during the time of transfer from Santos FC to Barcelona FC. So that was the main contention in this case. So the legal issue that are involved into the case was basically whether Barcelona and Neymar represents breach of contractual obligation by the under reporting the transfer fee, whether third party ownership arrangement with DIS was legally valid, whether conducted consulted corruption or a fraud business transaction under the Spanish law. So these are the important issues. So you can just draw the campus. So this is a very general thing, transfer fees. So when a player from one club to the another club, when they transfer, so another club they make a contract that on the basis of this amount, now they will like surrender that player, and he can easily move from one club to the another club. So that was actually said. It was not the money that was said in public was much more higher in actual. So the ultimately the Spanish National Court actually started prosecution, and interestingly, not only Neymar, his parents are also involved into that corruption and the business fraud case. But in 2012 October, Spanish court has said there is a lack of evidence, and there is no criminal liability is there in this particular case, because you know that in contract there is a concept called privacy of contract. So what are the things that you're entering into a contract with the other party? You can keep those details secret. You're not allowed, you're not supposed to, if you don't reveal the entire thing of contract, you can do it easily. So that's why court found that there is no criminal liability as such. That's why all the Neymar, all his parents, the criminal liability was actually quashed by the Spanish National Court. Now, that but the point is that the second case again arose in 2021. This time it was FC Barcelona, uh, the FC Barcelona versus Neymar. So in August 2027, Neymar transferred to PSG, that is a French club, who paid him uh, 220 euro as a release clause. Release clause was basically that he will be released from the FC Barcelona. Now, once the entire thing happened, he was released from Barcelona and he was transferred to PSG France. But Neymar did a very interesting thing here. Neymar filed a lawsuit in the Spanish labor court saying that Barcelona has promised him to pay $43 million as a loyalty bonus. So the loyalty bonus is a very interesting concept. Let me quickly explain you what is loyalty bonus. Loyalty bonus was basically, so if a particular player is playing in a in a particular club, and if there is an incentive is given because he is loyal to that club, he's not going to another club. So that's why, because he is playing in that club, that's why the concept of loyalty bonus is emerged in this post. So you see the difference between first case and the second case. In the first case, it was basically transfer fee. So their transfer fee was involved into that case. But in the second case, the new concept that is coming, that is loyalty bonus. Loyalty bonus is very common for the high profile players, so that they can get certain intensive and they can continue to play for that particular club. So Neymar has filed a lawsuit in the Spanish labor court claiming that FC Barcelona did not pay him the loyalty bonus after this transfer has took place. So Neymar said he's supposed to get that particular loyalty bonus from the FC Barcelona. So the legal issue that is involved in this case was basically whether Neymar was entitled to receive the loyalty bonus, whether the principle of good faith in employment contracts was breached, whether this bonus survived the transfer triggered termination. So because transfer was done, that's why the contract was terminated, whether still FC Barcelona is supposed to pay him the loyalty bonus or not. Court has given a very interesting decision in that. Court said that Spanish court in this case has ruled in favor of Barcelona because Neymar has discontinued his contract with the FC Barcelona. So in case you are discontinued your service to the FC Barcelona, so there is no question of loyalty bonus. So court said that Barcelona is not supposed to pay any kind of loyalty bonus to Neymar. On the other hand, the court has imposed Neymar to repay at least 6.7 euro, which Barcelona has paid to the Neymar as a loyalty bonus. So these are the facts of this case. But when this 6.7 euro or the 44 euro that we're talking about, when the court gave up certain decision, but in 2012, both the parties has reached out of court settlements, certain compromise they have done, and they have withdraw all their claims from different courts where they have filed that case. So the third case again of the Neymar is very interesting. Again, that case was basically between 2015 and 2020. Now Neymar was facing multiple proceedings in Brazil and Spain. So Neymar, why I took Neymar is very interesting. We know that is a very famous footballer. So that's why I picked Neymar. These are the four cases that are involved with the Neymar, which can give you an idea what kind of contract generally that are signed in this sports law. So in the case number 3, what happened was basically during the time of 2015 to 2020, there are multiple proceedings were started in Brazil and Spain relating to the misclassification of income and tax evasion. So there are a lot of cases were filed against the Neymar in Brazil as well as in Spain, that he is not paying sufficient income tax. He is evading the income tax. That is related to his image rights. So I already told you what is image right. Image right, let me repeat what is image right. So every player has certain image rights. So if they go to any function, if they're branding any product, or if they are saying anything, so everything has image rights. This image rights is very much available in India as well. Dhoni dekhte ho hum log bahut sare, they do certain kind of advertisement. So these are called image rights. So he was accused of challenging the sponsorship and transfer the income through the family company NNN Consultancy. So this company we have seen in the previous slide as well. So here talking about the whether it is so that his taxation liability should be reduced. So the legal issue involved in this case was basically distribution of employment income, salary as bonus is a commercial income, that is image rights. Legality of corporate struggling is managed personal image revenues. So scope of tax evasion and the tax avoidance was the main issue in this sports contract. That is the main issue that this particular case has basically handled. Now, when the court found that he has basically uh, made certain tax evasion in this particular contract, and that's why court set him to pay 34 euro as a fine to the Brazilian authorities. So Brazilian authority initiated that case, and the court said that 34 euro he has to pay to the Brazilian authority as a compensation for this tax evasion. But in Spanish court, there is no criminal liability was established, but that doesn't mean that he has not evaded any tax, but criminal liability was dropped in the Spanish court. The third point is very interesting thing that these are the points that we have seen that the bonus contract, that transfer fee, taxation, image rights, these are the points that we have learned so far relating to space contract. But the recent one is very interesting. That is the PSG contract and the modern clauses. That is also related to the Neymar's contract with the Paris Saint-Germain. So where in 2021 he renewed his contract with this club PSG, and the clauses that are there in this contract are very interesting. So you can see certain contracts, the certain points that are included in these contracts, like performance-based bonuses. So that's the Champion League success. So after the Champion League success, will Neymar become a very, again, he went to peak of his career. And now he said that performance-based bonuses. So if there is a performance, good performance, based on that, they have to negotiate he will get more money because of his performance. Behavioral and reputation clauses. So you see the changes that are coming into the sports contract. Performance-based bonuses, behavioral and reputation clauses, revenue sharing arrangements, and automatic renewal. So these are the modern clauses that are included in this contract, Paris Neymar and the Paris Saint-Germain contract. Now, what is the legal significance of such kind of clauses in the sports law? It demonstrates how the club protects their brand value, because someone was referring Mohan Bagan and East Bengal and other clubs. So we have seen similar kind of disputes happen in India as well. So by the performance-based contract, the reputation of the company is in the point that I mentioned, revenue sharing arrangement, behavioral reputational clauses. By such kind of clauses, now they're trying to make a point that the brand value of the club should be protected. At the same time, player also should get certain rights when it comes to the contract between the player and the club. So that brand value is morality and the social media clauses. So now we have seen that morality and social media clauses are also there. So social media clauses, let me give little bit light into that. Now, many of the private contracts will find social media clauses. What is that social media clauses? Because you know that people are now in this age of social media, most of the high profile people communicate through medias, social medias, not so direct to direct medias. So it is basically whatever the content they can write in social media, what they cannot write, that is also part of the contract now between the player and the franchisee. So that's the high technical contract that you can see in sports law. So it reflects the dynamic performance driven remuneration models. BCCI is also actually taking that thing. Some of the players are considered as an A category, B category. So different categories are there. Based on their performance, they change the categories, and based on their categories, remunerations are basically fixed. Contractual remuneration basically fixed. So it's saying that growing sophistications in the sports contracts post Neymar dispute. So these are basically coming after the post Neymar disputes. Second interesting case that I'll take. First one is the player versus the franchisee. Now the second case is very interesting. Here, two uh, sports organizations are actually fighting a case based on the contract. So here there are two franchises: the BCCI, the Board of Cricket Control of India, and the franchisee was Kochi Cricket Private Limited. You know that Kochi Tuskers was one of the franchisees of the IPL. So BCCI and Kochi, they entered into an agreement for the franchisee of the IPL 2011 session. Now the dispute arose between BCCI and KCPL regarding the non-payment of the franchisee fee. BCCI has terminated the Kochi's agreement and invoking the termination clause. Now then, Kochi has preferred for the arbitration proceedings against the BCCI under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1996. Once the arbitration was complete, arbitration ruled in favor of Kochi Cricket Private Limited and asked BCIC to pay approximately 850 crores of rupees for this wrongful termination of that contract. BCCI challenged that award by the arbitration body on the basis of Section 434 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1995 before the Bombay High Court. Ultimately, the case went to the Supreme Court of India. Now, what is it? Now, this is a very interesting case. Bombay High Court actually upheld the decision in favor of BCCI, and then it was basically that this decision was very interesting because this decision has two dynamics. One dynamics is from the point of view of sports law. Second dynamics is from the point of view of the arbitration law. Here in this case, Supreme Court of India has upheld the decision of arbitration, saying that if there is an arbitration clause is there, parties can move to the arbitration. But BCCI objected. Court said that BCCI has unnecessarily delaying the process by moving to the Bombay High Court and the Supreme Court, where the matter, the contract between BCCI and Kochi was clearly written, dispute will be settled by the arbitration. So what is the impact of that decision in the sports law? We can say that this case has understood the commercial and the contractual nature of the space management in India. So these are not a public things, public matter of interest. These are more of a commercial thing, sports management. So these are private space commercial contracts, sports governance and the public. It is not something of public interest. So it should be dealt by the way the contract has basically tell them to dealt with. So that's a very interesting thing that came in this decision. So we said that this advance India's pro-arbitration stance, discouraging dilatory tactics by the powerful entities such as BCCI. And from the point of view of investment, we know that in the sports, huge amount of investments are coming. So it increased the foreign investment confidence in India, primarily in the sports sector, because sports sector's investments are entirely dealt by the contractual model. So it has boosted the kind of the confidence of the market, sports market, in case of investment, arbitration, and the economic management. The third case that I'll take in India, that is again an individual case. This is a case of a Srishant's case. I hope you all remember this case of Srishant, where in 2013, Srishant was alleged that he was involved in a sport fixing scandal, sports spot fixing scandal. He was involved uh, with the Rajasthan Royal franchise. So this case is a very interesting case. This case is, if you for time being, if you remove Shrikant from this case has also revealed the highly unsystematic, unsophisticated governance systems of Indian Sports Association, and how they basically deal with certain kind of things. So the question in this case, it went to the Supreme Court. The question in this case was basically whether sport bodies' decision can be reviewed by the courts or not, whether sports bodies' disciplinary proceedings are final of the not, and what should be the proportionality of the punishment in kind of such regulation. So let me quickly go through with the facts of the case. So this case happened during the time of 2013 Indian IPL League. Delhi police arrested three players of Rajasthan Royals, Shrikant, Aniket Chavan, and Ajit Chandalia, for alleged involvement into spot fixing under the Maharashtra Control of Organized Crime Act (MOCA) at the Indian Penal Code. The allegation was they deliberately underperformed in specific overs in exchange of bribes. Shishant accused of conceding pre-arranged number of runs during a match against the Kings 11 Punjab. So later on, we know Shishant was arrested, and their media trial went. Let me not go into that details. Let me go to the content of the case. What happened in that case was basically in July 2025, the Mocha court found and acquitted all the accused, including Shrikant. But the point of the decision is very interesting because there is a lack of admissible evidence. The court found that there is a lack of evidence, and Mocha was not able to establish that case. That's why the Supreme Court has acquitted all the three accused in this particular case. Now, though that case was, though they have like acquitted these three people, but BCCI has constituted disciplinary committee, and that disciplinary committee in 2013 has passed a very important decision against Shrikant for his lifetime ban from the cricket in India, and that was challenged by Shrikant in the Supreme Court. Now, the question that Srishant was basically contested in this case, that this disciplinary action was taken without following the natural justice. So he has like contested that case. So that case first is filed into the Kerala High Court in 2017. Kerala High Court gave decision in favor of Srishant, saying that because criminal acquittal cannot be ignored by this court, that's why they saying that this decision of BCCI should uh, is not a valid decision. But secondly, that case went to the division bench of Kerala High Court, where they have restored the life ban of Srishan by saying that to maintain the integrity of the sport, it is essential for a stricter ethical standards in the sport, so that this kind of thing should be avoided. So they highlighted that BCCI ethical rules are fine because these are relating to sports which are to maintain the integrity of the sports. Finally, the case went to the Supreme Court. What Supreme Court did a very interesting thing here, saying that Supreme Court has rejected to review the code of conduct of that was done by the BCCI. Supreme Court has uplifted the disciplinary rules of the BCCI, but on the other hand, Supreme Court also said that making life ban of Srishant is also excessive and disproportionate according to the criminal economy, because on the other hand he was acquitted by a competent court in India for those charges. So BCCI's decision to make life ban against Srishant was according to Supreme Court, was is not appropriate, is not proportionate to the crime. So they said 7 years ban they have imposed on Shishan, and later on it was implemented. So these are very interesting thing that mainly came, that the balance of probabilities, these are the civil in nature. So Article 226 and the judicial review was actually involved in that particular case. Uh, Next case that I'll try to highlight today is the Narsingh Yadav case. I hope many of you are aware of that case. In 2016 Rio Olympic decision in the 74 kg category, Mr. Narsingh Pancham Yadav was found that he was positive of doping, and he was an anabolic steroid banned under the weather code. So that's why Yadav claimed this is a sabotage, alleging his food was contaminated at the Sports Authority of India at the training center. So that was his allegation, but he was not allowed to participate in the Rio Olympic. This is a big blow to Indian image as well that time. Anyhow, we know that that time after that a lot of problems started happening regarding the governing structure, way it is governed. Indian space sector, that was also issue came. Even recently we have seen that Boxing Association of India, that Sakshi Malik and other cases that also came into the picture. Let me not go into that part, because our focus of the study is primarily sports contract and the dispute settlement bodies. So National Anti-Doping Agency, that is accepted that sabotage theory. National Anti-Doping Agency is in India. They accepted that and that sabotage theory and allowed him to complete the Rio thing. But this World Anti-Doping Agency appealed the uh, National Anti-Doping Agency's decision to the CAS. CAS is it is an arbitration body for the sports, commercial arbitration body for the sports. So CAS ruling came in 2016. CAS found that Mr. Yadav was guilty of anti-doping, and he was found he did violation of uh, the ARVD regulation of 2.4 of the code. So he doesn't have any convincing evidence to prove that he is innocent, and they imposed 4-year ban immediately and disqualifying him from the 2016 Olympics. So that was the decision. At this, the legal significance is that there's a strict liability principle generally apply in kind of doping things. So demonstrated that these are very kind of strict liability. In case doping was identified, then they are basically banned from playing in the thing. Last case that we'll take into consideration, and then we'll talk about the dispute settlement bodies relating to that. This is a very interesting dispute in India related between Cricket Association of Bihar and the BCCI. Cricket Association of Bihar alleged that BCCI involved into certain criminal corruption activities, and the Chennai Super Kings, including Gurunath Mayappan, because so there's a lack of transparency in the BCCI system. So BCCI came to the picture in this, the media trial started because they said that BCCI, there is no transparency is there, nothing is there, they all are doing arbitrarily, a lot of corruptions are there, handling of the fund are there. So ultimately Supreme Court, it reached to the Supreme Court, and it was done, judicial review was also done, and justice and one judicial committee was set up for the reform of the things. But court made a very several landmark observation in that case in the sports governance in India. BCCI become a public functionary. It is not a state, but the kind of duty it discharges, it is a national cricket thing they constituted. So they are amenable for the judicial review under the 226. So, and they also identified the conflict of interest, because Srinivasan, who was the BCCI president that time, was also CSK's franchisee. So they found there is a direct conflict of interest in that case. and many of the cases integrity of the disciplinary process they found, and then they established a committee for the judicial review for the structural benefit of the BCCI. So that is a very important decision in the sports governance in India, where Supreme Court involved directly so that they can develop. Justice Lodha committee suggested certain change in the BCCI governance system. I'll just take this interesting facts with you, and then I'll finish the class by saying this Virat Kohli and Wortham. So Puma endorsement conflict case. Virat Kohli's brand portfolio. Virat Kohli actually entered into a contract with Puma for the endorsement of their product. At the same time, Virat Kohli also has Varun Namo named company where he was directly involved, is co-owned by the Kohli. Both of them were actually for the sports equipment, T-shirt, and other thing they were basically advertising. So the by the 2020, Virat Kohli's brand value exceeded 1,000 crore, just making him into the most valuable celebrity endorsers. So Puma entered into a contract with them, but then eventually there's a conflict started between them because both of the company were doing the same thing, uh, encouraging the fashion, offering t-shirt, jeans, and casual wear. So in 2007, Kohli signed this multi-year endorsement deal with Puma for the joint type line, but ultimately it did not reach to the code. Mm, The Kohli, Reagan, and Puma had jointly settled down, and it continued to Kohli continued with the Puma as well as for his own brand. So, but the point is that these are actually done with the contract, and just you see the type of type of dispute settlement bodies generally are involved into sports governance. Either it is arbitration, out of court settlement, compromise, negotiation, mediation. These are the well accepted mechanism for the sports dispute settlement, not only in India but across the world. Across the world. So these are the different things that I've like highlighted. But in like in like in internationally, so these are the um, dispute settlement body. This is called the CAS is the most important dispute settlement body, known as Court of Arbitration for Sport. The headquarters of this thing is in Lausanne, Switzerland. It is established in 1984. It operates under the Code of Sports-related arbitration. Under the Olympic Charter Rule 61, CAS has jurisdiction in the Olympic things. So in case Olympic, CAS also established some quick dispute settlement body. Wherever Olympic happens, CAS established quick settlement dispute body so that they can quickly dispute those things. Other than that, FIFA dispute resolution chamber is also there. National anti-doping panels that we have seen in case of this Jadav's case. World anti-doping agencies. These are also different regulators are there. So this is in general about the sports contract and sports dispute settlement as such. So let me at the end, let me tell you that the kind of contract that we see in sports, mainly endorsement contract, appearance contract, indemnity contract, player contract, these are the kind of contract that generally we see in case of sports. So let me end here. If there is any question, let me try to address this question. Oh, what is the revenue sharing arrangement that you're asking? Let me quickly answer that thing. Revenue sharing arrangements are basically, suppose if the player is playing in two countries, for say in like in case of Neymar, he was working in Spain as well as in Brazil. So it's like both the countries is supposed to get revenue from each other. So through contract, they also navigate the revenue. So that is the revenue things. So is it arbitrable? CAS, yes, CAS follows arbitration. It is not an adjudicated body. It's purely an arbitral tribunal. Can you explain the Churchill brothers Goa versus Inner Harshi. So this case are also relating to the contract, where they mainly involve into the contract related disputes, and then they is basically address that contract issue. Any other question from anyone else? Yes, Aditya.
Participants, yes, sir. I'm addressing. Participants, if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask. Sir is waiting for your comments and your doubts. You can also open your mic and camera and ask sir directly. That's all, I think, sir.
There's no question as such, so I think we can.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir,
Thank you.
for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. We are really very much obliged to have you here. How beautifully you have discussed about the gaming regulations and how they are connected to the international world by taking example of one of the very popular footballer, Neymar, and the practicalities involved in the legal proceedings in the contractual basis of the sports law, how BCCI plays a key role, and the courts are involved. We are really very much obliged to have you here, and thankful for to you for delivering such an impactful session. Once
Thank you.
again,
Thank you.
I request everyone, if there is any doubt, you can ask.
I think there is no doubt as such, so we can end here. If you
Yes,
have
sir.
any query, please reach out to the organizers. They will forward the question to me. If okay, thank you everyone. Have a good
Thank
day.
you, sir. Yes, thanks, sir. Participants, please wait for a while and kindly check out some exciting opportunities on the way by Kant Legal Educational Foundation, which our another intern, Shaguna Singh, is going to explain.
Thank you so much, Aditya, to give me the platform. So, I am Shagun Singh. I am currently pursuing BA LLB from Shamza Law College, and the exciting opportunities we have are: the first one is our 1 day certificate course on commercial and regulatory aspects of space law in India, designed to help you understand the evolving legal framework governing India's space sector and its growing commercial opportunities. The second is our online 1 day certificate course on trademark filing in India, a comprehensive program to boost your legal acumen and equip you with hands on knowledge of intellectual property filing processes. The third is our Logical Voices extempore competition happening this November. Then we have 1 day online certificate course on forensic justice, bridging law and investigation. Also, we have exciting free international workshop on mastering legal and regulatory compliances by an international expert. Seats are limited, so make sure you grab this offer right away and take a step closer to success. If you are interested and want a detailed information, you can check the links being shared now in the chat box, or simply visit the LinkedIn page of Kant Legal Educational Foundation to explore all these wonderful courses. We also invite you all to share your views on our blog and also invite application for internships. The link is shared in the chat box. We also have a YouTube channel where we explain every course in an interactive way through visual representations and explanations. So make sure to check it out and subscribe for more exciting opportunities in the way. And about the
Yes.
feedback, yes, continue.
So, participants, before leaving, I would like to request you to please take a moment to fill out the feedback form shared in the chat box. Your feedback is crucial to helping us improve and create better experiences in future.
Excuse me, am I audible? No.
We will be sharing the feedback form in a minute. The link has been shared. So please take a moment to give your valuable feedback. And by the time, please enjoy our an introductory video on all the courses which we like you to take part in. I hope you all have filled in the feedback form. The certificates will be uploaded by evening on the Google Drive. The link will be provided to you on WhatsApp group. So thank you once again for joining today's session. Hope to see you